CandyMan, 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 CandyMan. Really? That's what I've been afraid of all these years. Is this like an instant thing, or is this like a take a couple of days to come get you kind of thing? What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. What if I told you guys that CandyMan is real? Would you believe me? Okay, so the Hollywood version of CandyMan that we've all come to know is not the real CandyMan. But the movie is actually based on a real-life man that was phrased the CandyMan. So our story actually sets in Deer Park, Texas, and it was Halloween of 1974. And it was a very rainy Halloween, actually. So before we get too deep into the story, let's talk about our family here. Ronald Clark O'Brien lived with his wife and his two kids in Deer Park, Texas. It was a suburb of Houston, Texas. He was a deacon at the church, and he also sang in the choir, and he oversaw the bus program there at the church. For those who knew O'Brien, they said that he was a model citizen. One pastor actually described O'Brien as a good Christian man and above average father. But in reality, O'Brien had a difficult time holding down a job. He was employed by actually 21 different companies over a 10-year period. And he was actually fired for negligence and fraudulent behavior. In fall of 1974, 30-year-old O'Brien was on the brink of being fired again by his employer, Texas State Optical. They suspected him of actually stealing money. His take-home pay was actually $150 a week, and that barely covered his food and rent. And it was later discovered that he was more than $100,000 in debt. So that gives us a little bit of a background on our key player here, and yeah, he seems a little bit shady. Although O'Brien never shown an interest in Halloween before, he was really excited to be going trick-or-treating this year. Mainly because his kids were very, very eager to go. Jim Bates, a close family friend, and his two children actually joined the O'Brien family in their evening excursion. At one house that the kids went to, actually no one came to the door, which, you know, hey, that's Halloween. Some people actually don't participate in it. But it was weird because O'Brien kind of was behind in the group, and a few minutes later he kind of ran to catch up and told them, hey guys, look, they were actually home, and he handed each kid a huge pixie stick. And then he actually had one left over that he just gave to a random trick-or-treater. Before bed, O'Brien had actually told his kids that they could each have one piece of candy. Timothy decided that he wanted the pixie stick, of course, because it was probably like the biggest piece of candy. The boy complained of a bitter taste whenever he started to eat the candy, and O'Brien actually gave him Kool-Aid to wash the pixie stick down. But he is quoted as saying, 30 seconds after I left Timmy's room, I heard him crying for me. Daddy, Daddy, my stomach hurts. And O'Brien said that he was in the bathroom convulsing, vomiting, and gasping. And then he suddenly went limp. Timothy died, sadly, en route to the hospital. When Timothy's body was actually brought into the morgue, the coroner actually said that his breath had an almond smell to it. And that is a telltale sign of cyanide poisoning. So here we go. We now know that somebody had poisoned Timothy. Police actually were able to get the other 4 pixie sticks. They hadn't been consumed and had realized that somebody had actually opened the pixie sticks and had poured the actual cyanide into it, and I guess closed it and made it look like it hadn't been opened. Investigators actually had O'Brien and Bates retrace their steps that night. O'Brien, though, he gave like a conflicting story on which house had given him the poisonous candy. They soon learned about O'Brien's financial problems and discovered that he had taken out actually multiple insurance policies on his children. They also found a piece of paper from like an adding machine, and on it, O'Brien had actually written down the amount of each bill that he needed The total amount came to the exact amount that he stood to collect on one of the insurance policies. So as police actually dug deeper into the case, they found out that O'Brien had actually inquired to several companies about how to buy cyanide and jokingly asked how much it would take to kill like an adult. They actually found a pocket knife inside O'Brien's home that actually had traces of the pixie stick dust on it. Even though O'Brien tried to put up this big facade that he loved his children, he would never do anything to them. After a polygraph, he was arrested November 5th, 1974, and charged with Timothy's murder. So according to Johnny Johnson, a forensic pathologist and private investigator, poisoners as a group typically lack empathy, evidenced by the premeditated nature in which they kill. But O'Brien's days of fooling people was actually over. On June 3rd, 1975, after less than an hour deliberation, he was convicted of murder and sentenced to death. DeWitt wrote in a brief of O'Brien's final appeal in 1979, and this is what he actually put in the appeal. The facts were extensive and horrible. As a recall, the last sentence of my oral argument to the Court of Criminal Appeals was something like, if these facts do not support the jury's death sentence, there will never be facts that will. And O'Brien was actually executed by lethal injection on March 31st, 1984 at the Texas State Penitentiary at Huntsville. So that gives us kind of the backstory of CandyMan. He is actually known nowadays by these nicknames: the Man Who Killed Halloween, and of course, the CandyMan. He actually never confessed to his crimes, but there are theories as to why he chose Halloween and poisoned candy to carry out his murder. So O'Brien was actually the original CandyMan, and Hollywood actually took his story and turned it into the CandyMan with their own kind of spin on it. It's actually a very sad story of a young boy who lost his life because his dad was a douchebag, let's be honest. He was so consumed on money and getting out of debt that he actually gave up his own child in the process of doing so. Which is sad because when you become a parent, it is your job to take care of your kids, to protect them, to make sure nothing happens. And then here you are, you turn around and in the most horrible way that you can, you poison your child, you kill your child, which is so sad. Timothy even called out for his dad when he was dying on the bathroom floor, which is so sad. Can you imagine, you're dying and you're calling out for your dad? You don't even realize your dad is the one that actually did it to you. How do you, I can't imagine what he would feel like as a parent, while his child's laying dying on the bathroom floor, and in your mind, you're thinking oh, I did this, but you're just trying to get some money, so you're just sitting here and you let your kid die. Come on, what's up with that? So that is actually how Hollywood got the CandyMan, I guess, theme. They just kind of tweaked it a little bit. So that is the story of CandyMan, or Ronald Clark O'Brien, as he is really known. So if you decide to go trick-or-treating this year, please be careful. Inspect your candy to make sure that it doesn't look odd, that it hasn't been opened. I remember when I was growing up, there was stories of razor blades being put in candy. So kind of just be a little attentive and look at your candy before you actually eat it. But thank you guys for tuning into my channel. I hope you guys enjoyed this story, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye, guys.